Hello, hello. Happy Friday. It's Friday, right? Hope everyone is doing well tonight. Um, so when we left off, I accidentally deleted a VOD. It's a very long story. But to recap what happened, I died getting swarmed, and then uh, I was I was in the police station looting, and then I heard a zombie behind the door. And I expected a zombie behind the door. When I opened the door, there were three zombies. And why is my audio weird? Is my audio level okay, or is it too high? I feel like it's a little bit on the high side. Um, I opened the door, and there were three zombies. And they didn't actually run at me right away. I had the first shot. Is it raining? I took the first shot, and then for those that didn't know, because when you're first starting out, when you acquire a gun and you don't have a magazine, you are forced to play with one single bullet. And that is exactly what happened. I took my shot and I had no ammo, so I had to reload a single bullet into my gun, which I then got swarmed and died. And then on my way to acquire my dead body, I died again. In total, I died twice officially, but I committed suicide around 5 times because of the spawn location was way too far, bringing my total death to 18 deaths. So, fun stuff, fun stuff. Um, this is, for those that are just joining in on my new adventure, this is where we decided to settle. We live on a nice farm, waiting for the sun to come out and the rain to stop. Um, This is I'm gonna try and make this like the garage area. You know, the car can park in here, and then you can have like tool benches and stuff for cars. Um, Car repairs go in here, you know, and then you have like an upstairs ladder area that you can put some stuff. Um, Over there we have our workshop. That's where you do all the building supplies, crafting supplies are there. We got scrap metal, building, crafting. And then over here is our cabin, which is our kitchen. I'm gonna quickly run over. Okay, so we are in our kitchen. Just making sure there's no puppets in here. Alright, cool. So in our kitchen, we have our working stove. Come see you. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Let's go. Hello.
Yo, Arrow,
How are you?
pretty good.
That's good.
I'm not in pain today, so I can play as much as you want.
Sweet. I'm giving a house tour. Do you want to meet me at the new
Yours?
place?
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. Show me the map, please. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
that's not
it's
that far.
very close. Or should we? Do we want to go? There is a supply drop.
Is this
Actually,
where we live now?
this is where we live now. Confirm.
Okay.
Confirm. Um,
Confirm.
I don't. Let's not rush the supply drop. Let's take it easy. Um, but yeah. So I died last stream.
Take it easy.
And because of that, I kind of lost. I think the most important thing that I lost is my bedroll.
You
But
had a bedroll.
I
So
had a
lucky.
bedroll. Yeah. I found another bike. I left you the bike. The bike is still there, yeah?
I'm on the bike.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And the bike has fuel, yeah?
A little bit,
Okay.
just a splash.
Ah, why is it still raining?
Yeah.
But yeah, our place has a lathe. has a fridge, has a stove. We also have the docks and a boat. Not that the boat is useful, but it's a boat.
I should be not that far away now.
I was thinking we could do a either weapons factory run or a airstrip run.
I would like that, but I would like to drop off my stuff
Of
first.
course, of
Because
course,
if we're going out, I want to be. I want to have nothing on me.
of course. I also would like you to make a yes chest. I don't know if we have enough ingredients to
I
make it, but
haven't checked. Okay, once I arrive, I'm actually
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead
yeah.
and check my stats because I don't know what's the highest I can make.
I'm pretty sure you can still make it.
Oh, there's a bridge. Pretty. Yeah, you should be able to hear me
I hear
in a moment.
a little bit, but
Where are you? Am I lost? Am I lost? Oh, okay, I'm not lost.
no, there we are.
We're actually fairly far up north, so cold is more of a concern than being too warm here, eh?
True. So you can wear a little bit more.
Okay. And you put down the flag, so
I
you
put down the
you pretty
flag.
much decided that this is
This is the way.
where we live now.
This is the way. Um, I
Okay, what's
haven't
going
done
on?
much
Could you point me to which spot you would like to have a blueprint?
anywhere outside because it's going to be a yes chest. We can just drag it around.
Okay. Building, building, building. Is it crafting or building? I'm still not used to crafting and
It
building with
is
these
part of
with two
crafting.
is
No, building. It's building. It's building.
building.
Anything that you place is building.
And you want an advanced chest, right?
Advance, please.
Okay, there we go. I actually have a couple nails on me. I
Um,
need a
we
lead plate.
have just enough metal scrap. I don't know if we have any lead plates. Can check the car.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think we've picked up a lead plate at any point.
There's no car
No.
battery either, right? Well, let me check the. We don't have a lead plate.
Is everything in the farm looted?
Yes, well, not in that area. I have not gone that far yet. But I don't expect
Sometimes
you
you
to
could.
find a lead plate.
You
You found a lead plate?
know what I found? A
Scrap.
stove.
Oh. Oh, by the way, take a look at that chest that I just pulled out. This chest.
Oh, guns.
Do you see all those shotguns? They
Yeah.
all came from the same building.
Okay, where can I put things?
There is a chest inside the house on the table. This is our kitchen.
Nice.
This is where we eat.
This is our chicken.
Yeah. I haven't removed all the weapons, but you see all the cookbook, all the cooking stuff is gonna be here. Food and cooking stuff. We have a fridge in case you didn't know.
Yep. Fridges are actually pretty common.
They are, but you can't move this fridge.
All right. So we're gonna go on an adventure that potentially involves some combat.
Uh,
Eh,
yeah, I would recommend gear up as much
Gearing
as you
up.
can.
Yeah. Okay. So if you don't mind, do you have either thread or a sewing kit?
There, on the
We have
floor.
sewing kits. Sweet.
Um, there's also two sewing kits in the box.
And do you have a better backpack than a standard one? No, you don't.
I only have the one I'm using. That is the
Okay.
best backpack.
Alrighty then.
Um,
Jeans.
we're prioritizing guns. Lots of guns.
Mhm. I should probably take one of the shotguns with me, eh?
Yeah. I currently don't have one equipped, so feel free to take all the shells. I am currently using 9mm with one single magazine. There's a good
Okay.
amount of stuff in the car that you can use. There's also a pistol but without a magazine, but it's an M9, so I'm sure you'll find one eventually. I Can you put down a blueprint for an improved wooden chest?
Sure.
We
Just a
might be
moment.
able to.
I don't think we have nails for that though.
Oh, we have all the nails are in here.
Oh,
We have a ton of nails, like crazy amounts of nails. I don't know if we have scrap metal. If you have the scrap metal, awesome. If not, I'm
I
gonna go
don't have
check.
any screw. I don't.
There's a broken down car just down this way. We have a very nice
Okay.
view.
Keep it pants.
I found the 2 scrap metal required.
Lucky.
Oh, Firelight told me she got the game,
Yeah. Great.
but she's downloading and it takes a while. I hear a puppet somewhere. Oh, there's a puppet in our kitchen. I'm gonna lead it out. I don't want the dead body in the kitchen.
You don't need help, right?
I'm
Or
fine.
do you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm bleeding heavily, but I'm fine.
Oh yeah, I have absolutely zero healing.
Neither do I. I still okay, we need to prioritize. I totally forgot. We need to prioritize
I need healing.
like alcohol, like isopropyl or um isopropyl alcohol or what's
Like
that called?
any vodka or
Yeah,
any
yeah, yeah,
booze
yeah. Yes,
that's
yes,
like
yes,
strong
yes.
enough to disinfect.
You should probably take a stack of antibiotics though. I don't know if we
Do you have one?
I think we're out. All the ones in the car are painkillers. That's not gonna save
Bad.
you.
I don't need painkillers. Who needs painkillers? Who needs painkillers? Who needs painkillers, right?
Uh-huh.
Overrated. Okay, I'm gonna start with some of my unreasonable role-playing traits.
What is your unreasonable role-playing traits?
I'm immediately gonna become addicted to tobacco.
Oh my God. I mean, a way to get into character. We also have a log source, by the way. Well, it runs out, but you save out on not having to chop a tree every now and then. So, it's pretty convenient. Like, are you squatting?
Yeah? Why?
Oh, just curious.
Okay, you can't smoke while squatting. I hate it.
I think they need to change that.
Yes.
Okay, I successfully cleared out, I successfully completed a chest. We could, easily fill up some stuff, and then we can get ready to leave.
Thanks. I finished my smoke, so I'm ready to go.
I I would like to lie down for a bit to get my
Oh,
health
I
back up.
didn't. You know what? This is really strange. Oh, okay. When it's equipped as your mask.
Hmm. You
Oh,
can't
I
smoke if you
see.
have a mask on.
No, no. Like it's not in your hands.
Oh, wait, what?
It's not considered to be in your hands. It's considered to be a mask.
Oh, interesting.
So you can hold things in your hands while smoking.
Superboy, are you done with your finals then?
Okay, Arrow.
What's up?
These classics cigarettes are not that great. If you can find me the star cigarettes, I would like one instead.
Okay,
These ones are not very good.
sounds good. Man, I heal so slowly. I thought my medical was high. What is this?
I
My
thought that
medical is
medical only
advanced.
improves your bandaging skills. It doesn't improve your metabolism, right?
I guess. I guess I'm not Wolverine.
Oh, you know what? I'm actually also slightly infected, so some
Um,
antibiotics would be nice.
I have one. I have one. You can have it. Let's
Oh,
okay, so this is the plan, okay? Here,
Arrow,
I'll tell you
I
the plan.
have
Yeah?
a dial lock. Should I lock something?
Um, I don't think maybe you can lock the door, but there's
Okay, I put it in the chest. I don't know, like if it's
okay,
that useful.
here. Just give you the antibiotics first. On the ground?
Oh, you literally have one pill. Shit.
It's okay, it's okay. So here's the plan. I'll tell you what the plan. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
head
listening.
to C1, the
Yeah,
city in C1. There is a pharmacy there. I hope to find something.
we need healing items.
Yeah. If not, then we just go straight for airstrip and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Also, is it turning dark? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
I think it's late evening. It's
so.
like
I found
9 or
out
10
that
p.m.
on this server, nighttime is 30 minutes. Daytime is like
Oh,
three
that's not too bad.
hours. So we do nighttime now, and then for the rest of the playthrough tonight, it's gonna be daytime.
Cool.
Plus, I'm still recovering very slowly.
Sure. Do what you gotta do.
But yeah, so I want to do more of a minimalistic build this time around. Nothing too crazy like what I did at the lighthouse.
Yeah, can we not have like floor
Well,
everywhere?
low blazed amber.
Yo, since you're recovering, is it a good time to go have a pee pee poo poo?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go pee. BRB.
Oh, you're actually just gonna leave your character there. I mean, there's no zombies around, so it should be fine. Happy Friday, Blazed Amber. How are you doing tonight? Oh, oh, okay, I need to urinate. It is Happy Friday. I need to eat something. There's nothing to eat. Okay, I guess I can check the fridge. Gotta eat some corn. Corn is healthy. I like how I still have no fiber, despite how much corn I can like ingest. I guess corn isn't exactly high on fiber.
Yo, bro, it's so dark now.
It is. My bleeding is about to be healed up.
Sweet. How is my metabolism going? Oh, your antibiotic has healed everything. I'm slightly tired.
You ate the last
What?
pill, right?
Yeah. What am I getting? I'm receiving a constitution penalty
Find out
through
what's wrong.
exhaustion C1.
Oh, just lie down.
It's because I'm cold.
Oh, you're cold.
Oh, you can't sleep here? Damn.
They changed it. You can now loot it.
Do you have like a sweater or something?
They're all in the chest inside the chest inside.
Let me take a look. Shirt, pants. You have so many pants.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I don't really need this.
I mean, my health
Stop.
is at 75.
So many cookbooks.
We really need antibiotics. Big time. Because I'm infected again.
Yikes. Oh, there was a jacket in the outside chest. Nice.
Only the food. Oh, okay, so all the food, building and crafting have been moved. Everything else is just in chests.
Hmm.
91. I think that should be
You build
fine.
them well already.
I built it well already. And it should be decent. Like, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm assuming it's like decently full.
Almost full.
Nice, nice, nice.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm gonna
so
be carrying 2 bottle water then.
I am going to dump everything that we don't need into um into a chest, and then we can leave.
Hmm.
One card jack is enough. Oh, I put a box of slugs beside the car.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. So I have 33 spare ammo. Okay.
Or there's also 12 gauge. I just dropped on the ground. Lucky
Oh,
star.
oh yeah. Half full? Come on. Okay, thanks.
Oh, 7 slug shots.
Nice. Are you sure you don't want to carry a shotgun? We have enough for 2 now.
It's okay. We'll find more. I'm very picky about my weapons.
Mm.
Oh, I lost Oh, okay, that's what I lost. I lost a night vision.
You want night vision?
No, it's okay. I mean,
You
by
have
the
mine
time
as
that
well.
we're leaving, by the time we get there, it'll be fine. Sure.
The
I'm
car is
just
still pretty full.
I the car is slowly being less full.
Oh, you're emptying it right now. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
Cool, 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 cool.
You don't have any scrap on you, right?
No, I wasn't picking it up
It's okay.
the
Neither was
first
I.
PlayStation.
Yeah, first day you don't usually pick up scrap, but we can pick up scrap now. Um, I also kept all the unused ammo in the chest so we don't have to bring it with us, but all the, .45, which is very common for pistols, I brought it. Okay, car is good.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to move the two chests indoors and then we can leave.
Sure. I am ready to go anytime. My backpack is empty and I have a back slot. So if you need me to carry a rifle, I can do it. Although I'm not planning to use one.
I have I have a cleaver and a pistol. And for some reason, oh wait, let me lie down for like 1 minute. I'm like very close to full heal. For some reason, it's just there. The bleeding injury is just there. It
Okay,
just wouldn't disappear until I lie down.
there. I'm not planning to improve my rifles.
Mhm.
So handguns.
Let's take one car.
Sure.
And
Just in
when
case we
we,
find a vehicle if we
yeah,
need another. Because there's only
and
two of us
we're,
today.
Firelight is loading in. So,
I like it when Firelight is loading
hold on. Join call.
in. Oh.
Okay, it's not going anywhere. Whatever.
Is it infected?
Two of them are, two of them aren't.
Oh, there is not gonna go away until you take an antibiotic.
Oh, unfortunate.
Hello?
Okay, so Violet says she doesn't want to talk, that's fine. If you can't find the server, just press refresh and don't type in the full thing. Type in like MIS. You should be able to find it.
Oh, you don't want to talk? I was gonna ask you if you want to have a drink. Because I am.
Um, I have $131. The closest gas station is B2, right? I think. I don't remember if that's the closest gas station. Let me do a quick check.
You know how much money I have? Zero. None.
I had a little bit more, but I died before I was able to deposit it. Matte filter, gas station. Okay. Oh, 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 there's a really close one actually. Um, C1 has a gas station. Let's go to the gas station first. Gas station, and then C1 city, and then from there we see what happens.
Let's see where our trusty Volkswagen takes us. Volkswagen.
Das Auto.
Was ist das? Das ist fantastisch. Autos auf Deutsch.
We're gonna pass by the city, but we are not stopping it. You know where this is? This is where you first found the pickup back in
Oh
the day.
man,
Good
that
times.
that was good old times, man. That was old school gamer, like day 2 of old school gamer. I miss old school gamer. That was a good server.
Oh, I
Rest in
overshot.
pepperonis, Blackstar.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Blackstar.
Okay, here's the thing. Blackstar added me as a friend when I asked him to add me as a friend,
Uh-huh.
and I have DM'd him a couple of times and he never replied, and now I feel awkward to message them again.
Yeah, I
Because they come online once in a while, and I can see like they're playing something that's usually not SCUM.
mhm. I feel like they're just kind of done.
They're done with people, I think, which is somewhat relatable.
I mean, running a server is stressful too. And the thing
Yeah,
is, scum servers cost money.
they do.
Yeah, like the I can
I have asked them at least twice later if they would like more money, and they always said no.
well, obviously they're not going to say yes to that.
Because I'm like, as long as you show me the receipt, I will fucking pay for it. Oh well.
We're almost there. I don't know if there's going to be puppets there, so just keep an eye out.
Yeah.
I also don't know how much $131 is going to get me. I mean, in today's standard, $131 is definitely enough for a full tank.
Yeah, you should be able to fill for $100 now.
And with a card this small, should be no issues at all.
It doesn't help that the gas tank is measured here in liters, and that's not something I'm used to.
But the gas stations in Canada is it this is this way?
Okay, but do you know how many liters is your car's gas tank?
Yeah, actually,
Oh,
I do.
cool.
Oh, oh.
Oh, that's quite a lot of enemies. Let's
I think they
go.
know. Wait, oh, there's an exploding. There's an exploding puppet.
Not anymore.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I see 4 more at least. 5. You take left side.
Bro. 4?
Oh, there's 9. Reloading.
Okay. I think we're good. I think we're good. Oh,
Gonna run in and check inside.
okay. I'll pull the car up.
Yep. You see, this is fun. This is teamwork.
Yeah, but you doing this alone is very scary.
Yep. Oh, you turned off the lights for me. Okay. Do we need the battery cable?
Nah.
Don't. Okay. Quite heavy, so I'm not gonna pick it up.
131. I have to spend my entire bank account.
I don't see that many circumstances where I would need cash.
Dude,
So,
we barely filled it up. Oh.
can I just trust you with every money I find?
Yeah, sure.
Because most of the thing that we need money for is now gonna be gas. Okay, Arrow, I'm gonna drop a little bit on the ground. Right next to you, by your feet.
Okay, thank you.
I can't imagine what else I would need money for. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pass it to you. You can decide what we need to buy. Found 2 scrap, 2
$42.
bolts, and an ACP.
I'm I'm going to loot the bodies to see if I can find cash because I feel I did not know.
Oh, true, 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 true. Puppets often hold cash.
Uh,
Hmm.
we killed like 10. That was a
So
lot.
I also don't know how to count. Great.
Oh, okay, let me count. Let me count. I don't actually know if it was 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, you're right. It's 9.
Okay.
You're right.
I do know how to count.
1, 2, 3,
Hey,
5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, that's a pile of rocks.
you're a pile of rocks. Your face is a pile of rocks.
So, I found out that walking on snow gets your shoes wet, but if you're wearing rubber boots, your socks aren't affected.
You
What is
need
that? Wait, I need
good shoes,
vesties.
yes.
I need vesties.
I think if you wear hiking boots or construction boots, you will not get wet either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Um,
wearing ankle boots and my shoes have not gotten wet either.
yeah, those ankle boots are nice too. They look nice. All
Just
right,
like your
we got
face.
no you. We
Not
got
mutually exclusive, thank you.
true, true. Very fair point. Um, you see how much gas we got? That was $100. What, 130
Wait, why didn't you spend the rest of what I gave you to fill it up?
because I need an ATM for that.
Ah.
Yeah, I know. They don't take cash. The credit card only. Uh,
Ah, my goodness.
yeah. I feel like the devs are like, let's just make it difficult for no reason because it's not difficult enough. But I did ask them, and
You
they,
know what,
yeah,
Arrow? I have an idea that, I don't know if you would agree with, and of course the devs are not going to listen to us, but I think it would be more interesting and more realistic if you were able to, like, lockpick gas stations.
I think that's fair
Because,
because it's all
like,
behind the register.
having credit cards in the survival game is kind of,
I know
I don't know how I
why.
feel
I
about
know
it.
why they did that though. So
To simplify things.
to simplify cash, essentially.
Yep. Yep.
But the
Because
whole
you end up
reason,
carrying stacks of cash on you, like backpacks full of cash.
yeah, and also, there's a chance of potentially, if you die, you lose everything, which I get it, but
Yep.
uh, I think the introduction of currency was originally meant for trading with villagers. I mean, not NPCs. I don't know. I call them villagers. Been playing too much Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Um, because when you trade with players, you never trade for cash. No one cares about cash.
You usually end up trading items anyways.
Yeah, item for item, equivalent exchange,
Somebody needs ammo, somebody needs guns, somebody needs locks,
and
somebody
someone
needs
needs a
water.
banjo.
Someone needs a banjo.
Okay, so let's go to the pharmacy first.
I'm not really all in it today, so I'm just gonna follow your lead and back you up and carry shit.
Okay. That is the pharmacy building. Right here. I'll leave the lights on because we have full battery. Just be careful. It's too quiet, you know?
Pretty sure that there's
Oh,
not gonna
oh,
be
there's
any
two. There's
enemies
two. Come help me. Come help me.
downstairs.
Yeah. Close the door. Go close the door. Close the door. Close the door. Close the door. Close the door.
No, they're upstairs.
Oh, I got this one. Oh, there's two. There's three. Oh, fire, fire away, fire away.
Oh shit! I took damage. I took damage.
Okay.
Such a waste of ammo.
Oh, it's okay.
There's still. I think there might still be one upstairs.
No, they're outside. I feel like they upped the amount of puppets because it's a PvE server.
Oh, charcoal. Not really super useful, but you know. If they up the amount of puppets, they should up the amount of stuff you can find. Oh, I found some cash, some more cash.
Nice.
So I think
Sweatpants.
we need ATM.
There is an ATM in this city.
You search in here?
I searched
Yeah,
that
I
side
think.
completely. I have not searched downstairs. I'm gonna use this moment to reload.
Can I open the door?
Be careful. I don't know what's out there.
At least there's two puppets that I can hear. Oh, arrow.
Hmm?
They're in the building next to us. Not
Makes
outside.
sense.
Okay, don't worry about it for now.
Yo! Oh, painkillers.
I'll cover you. I'll cover you.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just annoyed that there's painkillers, but no
I'm searching the
antibiotics.
residential next to you.
Yeah. Vitamin pills. Does that increase? Oh, it's just vitamins. It doesn't increase our...
Oh man, I found a full pack of Luckies.
what?
Lucky
Lucky?
cigarettes?
Oh, lucky.
Or I'm gonna be fully role-playing Vlad from 5 years ago
Okay.
and be like, hell yeah, good cigarettes, let's fucking go.
Like, why can't I run?
Small gasoline container, yes, no?
Yes. We could use that for our other vehicles.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I'm going to, since I'm already here, I'm going to loot the gas station. I mean, the police station.
Yep.
If you find any cash, we'll just drop by the ATM.
I already dropped some cash in the car.
Okay, cool. I'll grab it later. Um, I will handle the police station. I'll let you know if I need help.
The cell phone have lead plates?
Uh-uh.
Only battery.
Only car battery. Oh, I'm gonna fire some shots.
Yep. Through the window, yes?
Yeah. So just so you know, it's gonna make sound, which is going to...
Yeah, go for it, go for it.
To the window, to the wall. There are a lot more puppets than before, I'm pretty sure.
This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. Just make sure when you open a door, you know exactly how many you're dealing with. So you don't get a case of the arrows.
Oh, error. There's a portable refrigerator in this garage.
I don't think we need it,
No, I
but
don't think so either.
yeah.
Bedroll. Oh, bedroll is something you can carry instead of a quiver, I see.
Yes, yes, that is the one I lost. It's a really good find.
It's just something that allows you to sleep anywhere.
Yep.
And it looks like it's morning.
Okay, you scared me.
You scared me. Because you
Okay,
look like a...
a pirate.
No, a puppet.
I'm gonna lockpick. Just oh! I'm good. I'm gonna close that door just so I don't get ambushed again.
Sure. Since you're picking, I'm gonna clear upstairs.
Okay. Careful.
I hear one more puppet, but I don't see him.
Oh! I got a police hiking backpack for you.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
That's a great find.
It's a really good find, especially early when you need to carry so much stuff.
Searching second floor.
Okay.
Bro,
Yeah.
you can hear there's a puppet near, like right next to us, right?
Uh,
But I don't know where it is.
I currently am in a room that I don't hear it. So probably away from me.
Hmm. I don't like it when I'm like looting and I know there is a puppet nearby, but I don't see him. Hmm.
Okay, so Firelight is in C3. We can go pick her up.
Sure. Let's wrap up this
Okay,
police
I'm
station.
gonna finish lockpicking this area and then we can leave.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
and the ATM. We should go to the ATM.
We'll deposit the cash.
Okay, I found some shells, a decent motorcycle jacket that's worth keeping, a block 21, a Deagle mag, and then M1911, 12 gauge shotgun shells, another M1911. Are you just dropping things right now?
Yep.
Did you pick up the
Hmm?
I'm gonna go lockpick the other
There's
area. Need more bobby pins. Do you happen to have?
no. Where are these puppets?
Have you
They
checked
keep
like
crawling.
out the balcony area? I'm gonna
Oh, I
quickly.
did not go to the roof. No, I didn't.
Might be.
Fine, I'm gonna go check because it was frustrating.
I need a box of bobby pins if you can find like safety pin box.
Sure. I haven't seen. I will let you know if
Because
I find it.
yeah, I don't have the most. Yeah. That moment when you're so desperate, you're picking up safety pins. Did you find it?
There was a puppet upstairs, yes.
Let's see, let's see.
50 pin box, yes.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Another M1911.
There.
Thank you. That's perfect, actually. That amount is... Oh, yo, I found a Peacekeeper. Alright, and there's 2 more upstairs, and then we're good to go. Oh, Firelight, if you open tab under, wait, did they remove... Oh, they removed it. The tutorial. They removed
Wait,
the
they removed
tutorial?
tutorial? Must be working on it too.
Yeah, because the original tutorial wasn't very good. Oh, Firelight died.
Okay.
Okay. It's first day. I'll tell you what to do as soon as you are back on the ground. Alright, I'm ready to go. You can go pick her up. Okay, so, do you want a pistol?
Drop it in the car. We'll see later.
We have a lot of pistols. Give me a moment though, I want to reload my gun. So, what is your current location?
There is no magazines.
M1911 has 1, I think? Oh, okay. She's in D4, a little bit further.
Let's go.
Okay.
You navigate, I'll drive. Arrow, are you the best GPS in the universe?
I try. Uh, take a left. Take a left. I'll go. Okay, you're gonna have to do a left. Wait, hold on. We need to. Wait, stop, stop, stop. ATM, 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 ATM. There's an ATM right here. Perfect. The convenience store is the ATM, I think. Pretty sure it's here. Wait, where? There is an ATM here somewhere.
ATM usually outside, yes.
Yeah, but I don't see it. Do you see it? Oh, it's on the back. Found it. You said there was cash in the car, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna grab that real quick.
Could be like 90 bucks or something like that.
Money is money. I found it. Yeah, 90. You're right. Firelight, find 2 rocks by looking for rock piles on the ground. And then, um, you click the 2 rocks, like highlight them so they're red. And then right click them and you should be able to craft a stone knife. That is the first tool you can use to defend yourself. Alright, let's go. I'm ready to go. No, 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 no. Keep going straight. Keep going. Okay, follow the yellow road. So follow this road to the right. Right? Yep, perfect. And then it's not a very short drive. We
Yeah,
are
let's go.
going to pass by the same gas station that we were just at. So just follow the road. At the next intersection, you're gonna see an intersection. At the intersection, take a left.
Mm-hmm. Roger that.
Roger, roger.
Roger, roger. I miss old cars, man.
I miss old cars too.
Drifting, crashing into things.
Crashing, having a risk. I think that was the most fun part. Arlette, try not to die. We're on our way.
Just so you know, Vlad is driving, so no promises.
Stay left. You might wanna. Okay. Wait, slow down. Oh, let's
Oh,
not stop. Let's not stop. Let's not stop.
not stopping.
Let's not stop. Uh,
Left.
follow the road. It will curve left. Just follow it left. Don't split right. Keep left. Follow the road. There's no splits anytime soon. There's going to be a huge U-turn up ahead. As normal.
Huge U-turn.
Huge turn. Alright, here is the U-turn. Not yet. Never mind. The up, it's here. That's the U-turn. Yeah, that works. You know, we keep saying that we miss old cars, and when they finally re-add the collision, we're gonna be like, we miss not blowing
The
up.
fuck is this? Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be a small split later to the left. If should be able to see it soon. Left. Yep. And then from here you stay left.
Are we driving to the cemetery Halloween event?
No. We're going to D4. Going to the big city.
I like when we're going to the bag city.
Chances are we'll find a car there. Like, I'm like 99% sure we'll find a car there. You know, this makes me slightly glad that we don't live at the lighthouse since we don't have to drive that far back. Stay left, left. No, keep going, keep going. Yeah, there's only one road. Perfect. You know, I don't know if I told you about this, but when they introduced the concept of modular vehicles, yeah, I'm all for it, but um, I would have
It was all planned, calculated.
calculated. I would have really hoped that they added it step by step, instead of removing all the cars at once.
Yeah.
Also, modular vehicles to me, when they first pitched the idea, they made it sound like, oh, you can customize your vehicle to how you're more suitable, like if you need more space, if you need more armor, like what do you need? You build it based off what you need. That
But
is not
just
what
like
we
switching outdoors, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah, like we get armored and non-armored, I get that, but that was the only modular aspect to it. And the thing that bothers me a
And
lot,
then armored is clearly better than non-armored, so it's just a
yeah,
linear upgrade. So it feels like a regular door,
yeah,
upgraded door.
and you're not like trading out anything either.
Yeah.
Um, okay, the roads get really complicated here. You want to follow the road. It'll curve right. That's
What
normal.
is that?
Another calculated double barrel
Okay.
roll. Go Two. Still calculated. Oh. Go around this thing. We need to go around this thing. But the thing I was really annoyed is that with modular vehicles, you know, in real life, in a pinch, you could put on a different car's wheel on your car. It should be fine. It should work.
I mean, it would be janky as hell, but it would work,
It would
yes.
work, but take 180.
Eh?
Stay on this road, but 180. You're on the right road, just wrong direction. Yeah.
Road?
Where we're
What
going,
road
we don't need
is?
roads. This is fine. This is
The-
fine. This is fine. I'm not kidding. This is fine. Just go north. Go north.
I have your stream open on the second screen, so
Yeah. Okay. All right. You don't know where north is.
I don't know where north is.
Wait. If you
What is
hold right click, does your character know where north is?
Yeah!
Oh, okay.
Wait, my character knows where north is.
So you
What
know
are
how
these pillars?
do you only have north, south, east, west, or do you have like northwest, northeast, and stuff?
Just north and west.
Okay, so I know for a fact that if your survival skill goes up, you know more, which
But
makes
then
sense.
northwest is just a halfway between north and west. That's
Uh,
not a whole lot of information to learn.
True. It's like, wait, hold on. I don't know where northwest is. Gotta build a few campfires. Oh, okay. I know where northwest is now. You're gonna hit a road, and when you hit the road, take a left. And this car would have blown up 100% left here.
Yeah.
Alright, Firelight, we're like 2 maps away. Try not to die, please.
Firelight.
He's like, die now?
Firelight. Die now? For free?
Okay, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
I think that just answered your question.
Okay, you want to go up the mountain. You want to go up this whole mountain thing. Or you can go down the mountain. If you go down the mountain, you have to deal with, either way works. Let's go down the mountain. Let's go down the mountain. Go down the mountain.
This?
Left. Your left. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay.
Yes?
Okay,
Any
go
problem?
forward. Not into the water. Not into the
There's
water.
water.
Okay. Where you're currently facing, take a right. And go
Oh,
that.
we're going on the beach.
Well, I try
The
not to get
snowy
beached.
beach.
Okay, go up the thingy. Like, just follow it. Follow through. Yeah, just follow this path. We'll get there eventually.
There's a path?
That path as in, like, stay on snow. Don't go into water. Water, bad. Snow, good. Well, snow, not bad.
Whee!
Don't get too close to the water.
The sand is
PTSD.
bad.
That is bad. It's
Actually,
coarse, and it gets everywhere.
Is it even applicable to the current state of
I
vehicles?
don't know, and I don't want to find out, especially when we're picking people up.
Yeah. Imagine if just the three of us are stranded in the snow.
Head to the right a bit. Yeah, you're getting awfully close to the water. Stay on the snowy path. Okay, you are heading... Okay, just head completely... tilt a little to the right, and then just head straight. Yeah, okay, good. Just go straight from here. Okay, I need you to get off the car real quick.
Why?
Because where we're going, we don't need wheels. I want you to drive off that thing.
Wait, what?
This is the dam, and we're gonna go over the dam.
Yeah,
Not
we're going over the dam.
then oh not the slow way, like just drive off the dam.
Eh? How do you drive off the dam?
You go off road. Trust me. Let me drive this part. Let me drive this part.
You can off-road the dam?
You can off road anywhere if you try hard enough.
If you believe
If you
it.
believe in yourself. So if we go through if we
Have a
go
bad feeling
like
about this.
onto the dam, we have to go down and then back up later. But if you just believe,
What if I don't believe?
well, it's okay if you don't believe because you're not the one driving anymore.
Uh, oh no. Ah! Oh, so you're just fully relying on the fact that the car is invincible.
Yes.
Ah!
Alright, we're
To
coming!
believe
We're
in
coming!
love after love.
We're coming!
How many barrel rolls can you
Look!
do in my
Look!
flip?
Look how beautiful that was. Look at how beautiful that was.
Do you believe?
Lucy, this is... Would you like to drive?
No.
We...
I think I need to try to keep my guts in my stomach, man. Oh my goodness, Jesus.
I'll open the door. Hold on.
Oh,
Good shortcut. Good shortcut. Okay. Wait, I'm not on yet. Thank you.
Arrow, we're not doing this ever again.
Hey, we saved time. Why is the door still open?
I don't know. I don't care the door is open. I don't want to drive off a cliff like that.
Okay. Uh, take
Uh,
a... At the intersection, take a right. Farlight, could you send us a... Can you send me a map screenshot again?
Updated
Yeah,
coordinates,
if you're still
please.
alive. Assuming you're still alive. Oh, bro. Follow the roads. You're not me. Come on. You're better than that.
Firelight should be somewhere here, right?
No. Firelight
Not quite.
is in
Oh,
D...
Leica. Do you want to check the
Yeah,
Leica?
yeah, 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 yeah. What are the... What are... Okay, take your
Definitely
bets.
is
Place your
missing
bets.
a
Place your
wheel.
bets. Do you think that there's no engine? There's literally no engine. You can literally
Don't
see
care.
it. There is no engine. Is Firelight still alive? Take a left at the intersection. And then at the intersection, take a right. Oh, perfect. Can you stay there? Firelight is in D3 top left city. So,
So here.
that's a middle city, not top left city. But we're very close, we're very close. Drive through the city. Let's go get gas because we're gonna run out of gas. There's a... You ran straight through a pole, but okay. Um,
No, I didn't.
not this again.
I was nowhere near. I was like 5 meters away from the pole.
At the intersection, take a right will lead us to a gas station. You do want to slow down because gas stations are often filled with puppets.
Drive through the gas station at full speed? Okay.
Drive into exploding puppet full speed. Oh, water. I don't see any puppets. Farlight, just chill there. We're gonna be on our way very soon. How is it? Is it clear?
I see a few.
Okay, I'm gonna pull the car up. You got it?
No,
Okay,
don't pull up.
I'll pull
I
up.
don't know if there's any. There's exploding. I don't see him.
But you hear it?
Yep. Yeah, I'm aggroing the puppets. Get out of the car.
I'm already out of the car. I'm right behind you. You got the right three? Uh, I'm reloading. Okay.
Exploding on me.
Oh, I missed the first shot.
Good work.
No, you. Alright, I'm pulling the car up.
There's one more. There's one more.
One more exploding?
Yep.
I trust you.
I don't have eyes on him.
I trust you. If I die, it's your fault.
Oh, he's in the car.
I accidentally... Oh my gosh. I accidentally pressed push instead of drive. Oh my gosh. And then we were on a hill. Okay, that was rough.
Reloading.
Did you get the exploding?
No, he's stuck in the car.
Okay. How many shots did you fire?
6.
Do you need help? You okay?
Oh shit, I took damage, I took damage, I took damage.
Um, how badly injured are you?
I know, about to find out.
You're
Got a
fine.
C2.
C2, C1s, you're fine. I'm gonna fill up the car.
Dude, he literally just glitched into this Volkswagen,
So
which
I
also
found
doesn't
out
have an
how
engine.
much a full tank is.
Is it 50 liters?
I know how much money I'm spending. It's around 400 to 500.
Do we need cooking pots?
No, we have a ton. This car does not have an engine, nor does it have all four wheels. Loot that place, I'll loot the other side, and then we can dip.
There's nothing but cooking pots.
Okay. Do we have a butane tank yet?
No.
Because there's
You know what? You said I'm fine, but I'm slowly losing health.
okay. Let me finish this place and I'll give you a check.
I love having no medicine skill.
Okay, I'll meet you at the car.
Money in the car?
Don't move. I can treat you, but you're gonna get infected, I'm pretty sure. There. Treated. Oh, I cured your infection! Wow, I'm a miracle doctor and I can't save myself. Alright, let's go pick up Firelight.
Ironic. You could save others from death.
Okay, 180. And then just follow the road and we'll find.
Just take a 180, follow the road. You know that you will find the firelight. Do you believe in love after love? Uh. Oh no, I remember this river. Arrow, do
I
you remember
know.
this river? And do you
Yes.
know why I remember this
Yes,
river?
I know exactly why you remember this river.
This river is so treacherous because it looks so shallow, but it will eat your vehicles like nobody's business. It looks shallow, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're closing in.
I like it when you're closing.
You could slow down. Firelight is in the city somewhere. Bro, slow down.
We're at the
Um,
grocery store.
there are a bunch of puppets in the distance.
There's some really close too. Hello, excuse me? Senor?
I'm out. I am completely out of ammo. Firelight, where are you? Hiding in a house bleeding. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific.
There's quite a few houses here.
Yeah, I could probably stop your bleeding, but I need to find you. Where are you?
I'm clearing everything I can find.
If you can guide me to the house that you are hiding in, that works too.
Hello. I found firelight.
Oh, where?
On me.
Okay, I'm on my way. What health?
I don't know. I'm covering. I'm gonna go clear the puppets. You do the healing.
Oh, 14%.
Yikes.
Okay.
Oh, box of bolts, nice.
Oh,
Reload.
server reload.
Reset.
But
Are we gonna
I
be
treated,
dropping in the middle of a puppet horde?
nah, we're good. Oh, at least we found Firelight.
Mm-hmm. That's like two major objectives achieved. We're gonna get gas and find firelight.
Yeah, we got both. Now we just need to find, um, healing.
I need healing.
I need healing!
Mm. Mm. Jesus.
Are you eating something?
Oh, I'm drinking. I still have quite a bit of cranberry vodka left. I'm trying to finish it.
Cranberry vodka. Oh,
Yes.
speaking of drinking. So, my
Yes.
aligners come off in 2 months, I think?
Do you want to get wings?
Hell yeah, I want to get wings.
We need to get wings tomorrow.
The Sunday. Sunday is half off.
I want to get wings.
Sunday?
I have cash that I need to get rid of because I'm too lazy to go to the bank and deposit it.
Okay.
I went to a KBBQ
Uh-huh.
and I paid with my card,
And then they
and
paid you back in cash.
yeah, and I never know what to do with cash, and I'm gonna forget that I have cash. I'm gonna be sad boy because I'm gonna think I'm poor, so I want to use it up. Can we go buy wings with my cash?
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna use this time to look for pharmacies in this area.
I like it when you
There,
use this time to look for pharmacies in this area.
unfortunately, there is none in our city, but there are two very close by. Do you want
There
to
are
go to the big city? Or not really?
okay. I think that the best option for us right now
Mm-hmm.
is to go to the airstrip. No, the best option for us right now is to go home, get Firelight a shotgun,
Oh,
then go
I have a shotgun on me. You can have it.
then go to the airstrip and go for high risk, high reward type play. I don't know if you guys would agree.
I, I mean, I don't mind, but I would like to stop at a pharmacy first.
Oh, Arrow, I
Yeah?
found Isoprapil.
You found what?
Isoprapil.
Oh, you're already back in?
Yeah. Do you have rags?
I do.
Yeah, I'll search this building and drop them off in the car. I know you're supposed to say isopropyl alcohol. I
No, as long
prefer
as you have it, you have it.
isopropyl. Isopropyl. See? Wait, where's the car? Am I a chungus? I mean, I know I am, but am I a sussy chungus? Am I a sussy baka?
Alright, I am back, and I just saw Firelight naked
Nice.
because the clothes didn't load in.
Yeah, it takes like half a second before you close load
I
in.
sent you an invite to the squad. Um, Once you click accept, you'll see our icons above. If you don't know how to, I think you press tab and you can move your mouse. Yep. Oh, wait, hold on. Just treat your injuries more. Um, okay, so lie down. So hold tab. Actually, wait, come.
Come a little bit closer.
Come into here and lie down. It's better to lie down indoors. Hold tab, and then under actions, there is like lay down, top right. I'm just gonna check this building to see. Found Ghoul's favorite outfit.
Arrow.
Yeah.
Question about new gun Kruger. Do we now want to pick up 22, or is the Kruger bad? Because I haven't seen one yet.
Um, I'll be honest, I don't know. I did pick up a fresh box of 22, but that's only because it was a box, and that's the only reason why I picked it up.
Yeah, that's good enough for now. Oh, there's a puppet on me. Okay.
Where did you find the isopropyl?
In a residential house building.
Oh, I guess maybe I've been.
There is a chance. I think it's a small chance, but there is always a chance that somebody will have isopropyl in their house.
I have one at home. I have one right beside me, actually. I'm not making this up. I actually have a bottle of isopropyl alcohol. I use it to
What?
clean things.
What? I have isopropyl soaked rags in, a dispenser, but
At
I don't
home?
actually have liquid. Yes.
Oh, I have it in a bottle form because it's more for me. It's more multi-purpose. Like if I need to clean something, I can just pour some onto like tissue or a rag.
Oh, safety pin box. That's
I
what
like
I
to
need.
like after like say if I go like a long day or a trip, I come back, I like to wipe my phone down with alcohol.
Yeah, because you're a clean freak.
Eh,
A little bit.
I'm a lazy clean freak.
You don't like things neat, you just like them clean.
Yeah.
Oh, shotgun ammo box. Excellent.
It's
Hi, good to see you
Charlie.
all back on server again. How are you finding uh do we have Mac
Not right
and
now.
can we have Mac?
Said you found a Kruger?
Nope. Who found the Kruger? Barely found the Kruger?
I found a Kruger magazine.
Lovely.
How much use is the isopropyl alcohol?
I have 6 uses, and I'm probably going to use them all up.
There. So we need more.
Hmm.
Um, do you here, take this gun. Wait, okay, wait. It's Firelight's first day. It's okay if mechs are off. Especially if you're going to the airstrip, mechs being off is a good thing.
We all had max on our first day, Arrow.
You know what? That's a very fair point.
Arrow. Sometimes I make very fair points.
That is a very, very solid point. I will give that to you.
They have cookies.
We can't take one out though. That like I know for a fact we cannot take one out right now. But you never had to deal with okay, we dealt with weapons factory with the mech. We never had to deal with airstrip with mechs. Airstrip is a lot harder to hide.
There's so much open space.
Yeah. Firelight, there's a shotgun in there's a
Shotgun knees?
shotgun knees in the car. You can use that. I put ammo right beside it. Um and we turn PvP damage on for an hour or two. That I find a lot more interesting.
It's a PvE server.
Yeah, but
No.
you're not shooting at anybody. The
What do you mean?
accidental.
PvP server is PvP server. PvE server is PvE server. In for the pound, in for a pounding, as Bulma said.
I need to rewatch it.
Mm. Found a thread, which means
Firelight,
we can turn my own
come
clothing.
get your starter package.
Dude, I am purposefully ignoring starter package. It's too easy mode.
Oh no, I just gave her a backpack that we
Oh,
found
okay.
and a shotgun. Nothing else. I'll give her a cleaver.
That sounds like very reasonable starter package, actually.
A decent like a workable melee
One melee weapon,
and
one
one gun.
ranged weapon,
Yeah,
and a backpack? Hell yeah.
right
Let's
here.
go.
To look for things, you press tab. It will always show up in your vicinity.
I'm just searching residential buildings until we get the bearing of things and ready to move out. Let me know when you want me to come back to car.
Mhm. Can I eat mustard? Oh, I can eat mustard. I see.
Of course you can. The nutrients are not fantastic, but
Oh,
I
obviously. Is it better than ketchup?
think ketchup's actually better.
I'm not surprised.
At least ketchup has fucking sugar, man.
Does mustard not have sugar?
As far as I know, no, it does not. See, Arrow? Told you. You're a chungus now. PvP, PvE server means it's a PvE server.
I don't want PvP. You know I don't want PvP.
Yes, so we can't even temporarily enable it, because then it will break the rules.
You know, if I ever pop off as a scum content creator, I'll get my own server. And
I
it
mean,
will be
what?
PvE, but PvP damage is on. Firelight, you didn't grab the shotgun.
You know, PvE with PvP damages on is just gonna be a PvP server, right?
Yeah, but you're not supposed to shoot people.
No one's gonna follow the rules. Did I hear a beep?
I don't know. But Firelight, come grab your shotgun. I hear a horse. Okay, I'm ready to move out. Is any... Firelight, come grab your shotgun, please.
Have you found food?
We have food at home, but I didn't bring food with me.
I also didn't bring food with me.
Shotgun's right here. Um, we don't have any antibiotics, right?
As far as I know, we are
Okay, let's go.
not in possession of this wonderful item.
I'm infected. Let's go. That one door. Okay. Um, we're heading to a small town place, so chances are there would be puppets, so do be careful.
Pets of the pup. I'm permanently stuck at 40% HP until I can get some antibiotics.
Yeah, we desperately need antibiotics, I think.
Hmm.
Calculated.
Such an interesting, fully calculated maneuver. All planned, all according to Keikaku. Arrow,
Yep, we're
can you
here.
press the X button? Thank you.
You don't like lights?
When it's bright out? No.
It's not super bright because the clouds above us. Oh, there's another car. Alright,
Alright, let's go check it out.
yeah. Oh, the sun's back out.
Oh, you know what? I need to
The
do
car
something
is
else.
missing everything. Everything? Everything. It's not worth. The car is not drivable. See if we can find some food. Some isopropyl alcohol.
It's actually a very good question.
Assuming Charlie is still here. Black pepper.
You know what I feel like is kind of a nerf? Now that the fridges are fridges,
They never have food.
they don't have food.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think the whole point is because of the cooking rework. They want to make you cook. Let him
I
cook.
refuse. I tried to cook when the cooking was bad. Now that the cooking is supposedly good, I refuse to cook. It's too much work. I just eat some berries.
Get your macronutrients. Um, I will continue to look for a pharmacy. I know there is one in this city.
Do we need G-Loo?
What?
Glue.
Do we need what?
Glue.
Glue? No.
G-Loo.
Right. I found a pharmacy. Um, it's good to keep doors open after you loot them, so we all know which buildings have been looted. If anyone finds antibiotics, please let people know. To talk in game, it's
Hold B.
to type is T,
Ah.
and then you can cycle through the different chats by pressing tab when you have the chat open. Today felt like a Saturday to me. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Absolutely not, bro. I had such a long day. Same.
Activated charcoal, painkillers, painkillers. Oh my gosh.
I found more isopropyl.
Yeah, but we're both already infected. We need. Oh, I found a lot of money in the pharmacy though. Also, I think Charlie's gone. They didn't
Hi,
respond.
Charlie.
Oh, oh, they answered.
Have you read the new loot rework? Who the fuck has time to read letters and text?
Okay. No antibiotics. We. Oh, if anyone's hungry, I found a farm. What is this place at? Potato?
Kartoffel. Kartoffel.
Raw potato. Was It's not really good for you, but it's not gonna kill you, right? Does anyone know if you can eat raw potatoes? Like IRL. I feel like you
Is can
can. It's probably not very good for you.
Are you telling me you've never eaten a raw potato before?
I'm trying to think. I've had like like a sliced like potato salad that is like half, but it's probably like blanched. You know what I mean? Like quick blanch is when you boil something really quickly, right? That's the
Yep.
right term. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure those potato salads have been blanched.
I need antibiotics quite badly. I found a small electricity generator. I don't think we need multiple of those, but I'm gonna keep it anyways.
Potato.
Carne.
Energy, protein, carbs, fat.
Me too. I'm eating a box of crackers. Not just some crackers, I'm eating a box of crackers. Have you ever accidentally drank a well?
Yes.
Of course.
I accidentally drank a whole well. I've been finding a lot of cleavers. It's a good weapon, but
Bushman is better. Man of the bush.
oh, I found another backpack and a 10 out of 10 lucky. If anyone needs food, let me know. I have a bunch of cucumbers. Yes, I know my wounds are getting infected. I am very aware.
We're going to the car to consolidate our resources. Let's go to the car to consolidate our resources.
I got a lot of clothing in case we need to cut for regs. Activated charcoal. You know what? I'm gonna take a vitamin pill. I don't think it's gonna do anything, but bunch of painkillers. A lot of hazelnuts. If you want my nuts and my cucumber, they're in the car.
Oh baby, I would love to taste your nuts and your cucumber. I want them in my mouth right now, please.
My
For free?
my nuts and cucumber are all in the car, loaded up.
For free?
Oh, and there's your cigarettes. Okay. Um, let's let's go for the next. Um, let's go for the next pharmacy. D3 to D2, drive straight east. Okay. I am ready to go. My health is
I'm
at
disinfecting
94.
it.
You can't like un like you if your injury is already under recovery, you can't fix it anymore, right?
No.
You just need to find
Love and appreciation in life, yes.
there.
Fair. 30. Damn it. Unfortunate. Advanced lockpick in the car. Time to go home.
Time to go to the other pharmacy so we don't die of infections.
Hmm.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Deja vu.
I have been
I've been
to
to
this place
place
before.
before. Eating raw potato might not be good for you. Deja vu. But you can go home and roast it.
Wait, I think you mentioned your favorite. Is your favorite way of cooking potato baking?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Potato is such an amazing plant.
Right? I love potato. My life is potato. Every time I wake up, I
Potato.
dream of potato. Yes, that's the best meme, man. Oh no, oh no. Three.
That's fine.
Oh, can you see my night visions clipping through the roof?
Yes, a little bit. Man, I dropped to 90 health. We're almost at the pharmacy.
My health's actually going back up.
Oh, wait, did you disinfect yourself, or
Yes.
how much did you use to disinfect yourself?
I used 6 disinfections.
Okay,
There's a pharmacy in this town.
yes.
Let's go, baby. Deja vu.
I have been to this place before. Actually, I don't think I've ever visited this town. Oh, that's a lot of puppets.
I see 3.
I killed one. And once you shoot, there's gonna be more. Oh, here they come.
I killed 3 and I still don't see any more.
They're coming. I saw one running at a distance.
Oh, there's a bunch facing, chasing Firelight.
You two need help?
Am I able to kill the puppets that are chasing Firelights without accidentally killing Firelight?
Dude,
Remains to be seen.
there's no PvP damage. Why do you think I want PvP damage on? Because it makes for good content.
Oh, accidentally killing teammates, yes.
Yes, that is the best part. When you accidentally shoot your teammate in the face. But no, this is a PvE server. Too much to ask for. You can just hard enforce the rule. You know, if you intentionally shoot someone, then you get a warning or something. But I don't know, they probably don't want to do
I
that.
just shot Firelight and I think they're bleeding.
I think they were bleeding before you shot her, but you can go check.
Oh, okay.
I found a trunk piece, but our car is not missing a trunk piece. Right?
Firelight, can I treat you?
To dinner. I'm going straight for the pharmacy.
Thank goodness.
Oh, that's a lot of puppets. I'm surrounded, but I'm safe in the building. Don't worry about me. I'll take care of myself, but I am checking the pharmacy for antibiotics because I am slowly dying from infection.
Um,
Isopropyl alcohol.
Scum
Finally.
loves. Oh, do we need a Volkswagen trunk?
No, that's the one I found. We don't need it. I found a hospital shirt. I'm sure Panda would like that.
Where is Panda?
He's out grabbing food with an old friend that he hasn't seen in years, apparently.
Sinja, get them to play Scum with us.
Uh, he just might if he comes home in time. Painkiller. Ugh. Why do they look the same? It gives you that false hope that you found antibiotics. You know?
I know.
Arrow's quest for antibiotics continues. I found 2 emergency bandages. Still no antibiotics. Would you like a willy warmer?
I don't have one.
You
I
can still
mean,
wear one.
don't have a Willy.
You can still wear one for some reason.
I'm playing a booby character.
Alright, bad news. Still no antibiotics. I'm going to try and just treat myself. Yeah, pouring alcohol on my infections does not do anything. I... Oh! Okay, I'm good, I'm good. I got snuck up
Like,
on, but I took care of it.
snuck upon. Ooh. Don't let them sneak up on.
We should probably head out soon. Find another pharmacy.
We did not have, we did not find any antibiotic in this town.
Mm-mm. And my health has dropped to 86%, so it is slowly dropping. Alright, I'm heading to the car.
Have you searched here?
I skipped a lot of buildings because priorities. You know, every time I see a parsnip, I think of that scene where Captain Jack Sparrow is like, parsley, parsnip, parlay.
Ooh. Parlay, how did you manage to find another enemy and die to that?
Wait, Firelight just died?
Yeah.
Oh. Alright, well, where is the respawn?
Yo, Firelight, your booty's confined though.
No pulse. I got her backpack,
Sure.
and she was carrying a school backpack in her leather jacket, and the backpack is empty. Alright, uh, I'm heading to the car. Let us know where you drop. You can use T to chat. T and then switch to squad. Hold on. I need to heal myself real quick.
Oh, we don't have anywhere to put Firelight's backpack.
Oh, you took it?
We need to do Tetris. Eating potato is so delicious, and you know that it's good for
She
you.
landed in D1. What? That is really lucky, actually. Infection, 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 stomach empty.
I cannot place Firelight's belongings in the car because the car is full.
Um, I might be able to. Hold
Is
on.
there a puppet near us?
It sounds like
I'm
it,
hearing
right?
something. Or an animal, perhaps?
Maybe. We can do some hunting. Wait, we got a chainsaw?
Yep.
That is big.
Huge. I went to the forest, but I couldn't find what was making the noise.
That's okay. Um, the two backpacks under are full. The third backpack that I put down can still be filled up with things. What'd you shoot? You okay?
Yep.
What are you?
I'm checking that there is no PvP damage.
And suddenly, ching, wasted.
You
Okay,
said there is no PvP damage.
there is no
I think
PvP
I heard a
damage.
goat. Do you hear a goat say blah?
I don't know, but my health is at 50. So we need to go pick up Firelight and alright, D1. Is there a pharmacy in D1? There is a pharmacy in D1. There's two pharmacies in D1. There's also an extra pharmacy in the
Just go to D1.
in D2. Should we go D2 before we go D1?
Mm,
Because we're in D2
should go
already.
Firelight.
Firelight first? Okay. Alright, Firelight, we're coming. Oh wait, I need to urinate. One sec. Twilight, we're gonna head towards top left of D1. Be careful. It's a city, and cities usually have puppets. Why can't I close the back? Oh, whatever. Let's just go. Alright, where we're going, we don't need roads again.
Set arrow.
That arrow calculated 100% without a doubt.
You can drive over those car
Ah,
parts with no collision.
this game's collision needs work.
This game's collision needs to exist.
Yeah, I miss the risk.
Arrow. In
Camera
your
isn't
time,
moving with your mouse. Try pressing Alt. Sometimes it locks if you tap it.
Arrow.
Yeah.
In your time as QA,
Hmm.
professionally, have you ever found a bug that you wish was not fixed on a
Mm,
project you were actively working on?
not really, actually. Not like
I
like
found
I'm thinking about this. I can't think of a time where I wish that a bug was not fixed.
I found
As
one today.
as in an exploit.
I found one today, and I feel like the chances of users
Knowing about it is so
find
slim that you don't
no,
think you.
actually, the chances of users finding it are high.
Oh,
The chances of users finding a workaround it are pretty low.
I personally have never had that. Um,
That's
but that's like I'm actually thinking about it. It is a very interesting point. A very interesting like it's definitely an interesting point. Um,
so let's say hypothetically, there was a way to pass through a gate or a door or like a vent
I can give
or
you I can give you a very good
something.
SCUM example actually.
Tell me.
Remember when we could massively produce nails?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine. I
yeah.
mean, the only people who would know about it are people who are involved in the scum community to some extent, right?
My point is that is a
Because the
bug that I did not want fixed, but they did
yeah,
fix that bug.
the chances of a user finding that themselves is pretty low.
It's very low. The only reason why I knew about it is I googled it.
The only reason I knew about it is from a YouTube video. And then I also couldn't understand the YouTube video's explanation because I'm a dumbass.
It's not very clear, but once you try it out yourself, it makes perfect sense.
Huh.
Try. Wait, that's not working. Try relogging. It should fix it. He's having camera issues.
And pressing Alt or Enter doesn't help?
Yeah,
What?
but I
That
think
sounds like a relog.
yeah, a relog will fix it. I think I had that issue
Relog
yesterday when
fixes
I
thing.
committed suicide like 5 times in a row.
Sewer slide.
Suicide.
Did you commit not feeling so good?
I commit not feeling so good.
Because Twitch and YouTube now flags saying suicide as mature content.
Oh, okay. Noted.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say suicide,
Noted. Noted.
but you can say committing not feeling so good.
We're almost there. In
I
the
like it when
D1
we're almost
city.
there. Did I just see firelight for a sec? No, that's you flipping
That's
over. Never mind.
I got it. I got it. I got it. Oh, you need to get out of the car.
Come on. No!
There we go.
Actually gonna get in from here so that I can close the door because it's annoying.
It is really annoying, and I feel like it's throwing. I don't think it is, but I feel like it's throwing me off balance when I'm driving.
No way. Game's not that complicated.
It should be. Instead of fixing a lot of the things, they should fix this too. Wait, what? There's
Hey,
nothing.
you just drove into an invisible rock, which there are several of in the game. Did you see the pole just spawn out of
Yeah.
nowhere? Oh, I think we're starting to have a little bit of a desync issue. So Firelight somewhere in this town?
No, this is the town with the pharmacy. Firelight's in
No, we
the
need.
map. I don't know where Firelight is. Firelight, could you send us a...
I'm getting out. I'm getting
Okay.
out. I'm getting out.
Okay,
Don't
okay,
drive
okay,
away.
okay, 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 okay,
Let
okay.
me clear.
I don't have a lot of ammo. Firelight, I need a screenshot, please. I'm at 60% health, so I'm going to play it safe.
I like it when you play it safe. How's your ammo?
I have no ammo left. I have 0 ammo. You're on your own, okay?
Okay. Oh, am I running out of ammo? Arrow, I'm running out of ammo.
Go into a building, go into a building. I have good news and bad news.
Is one of the good news is that you found shotgun ammo?
No, I found isopropyl alcohol.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, I see Firelight. Okay, we're good. Alright,
Oh, I almost shot you.
you can't. No risk, remember?
There is a risk, Arrow. Wasting ammo.
Uh,
You know what you are, Arrow? You're a waste of ammo.
I am target practice.
Target. You're Arrow from Target.
I'm arrow from target. Um, okay, I'm going to use an 1911 for now.
Arrow.
Hmm?
We need to go home.
We do, but we also need pills because if we don't, we're gonna die. I'm gonna die. You're not infected anymore, right?
I am.
Oh, you still are. My health caps at 65. Okay,
I'm just not infected enough to take damage.
my health caps at 65. I can't heal over that right now.
It's a firelight. Light of the fire. Uwu?
Oh well. I'm going straight for the pharmacy. It's a pharmacy. First floor is clear. Second floor is clear. Or like, if you need anything, it's in the car. If you need help, hide in a building.
Arrow. I
Yeah.
believe firelight needs help.
Oh, wait. Can you get to her?
Yes.
Okay. I'll leave that to you. All your stuff, Farlight, is in the car. Oh my gosh, stop giving us painkillers.
Arrow.
Yeah?
I might die.
Okay, I'm coming. I... Why
Arrow.
are there like
I'm
10
dead.
zombies?
I died.
You died?
Yes.
Farlight
There's like
is...
10 zombies, and I killed 2, and then I ran out of ammo.
Okay, I'm... Okay, well, if you died and Farlight's inside a building, there's no point for me rushing out then.
I can only respawn in random, so I'm gonna go pee first, I think.
Okay, we'll pick you up. Well, at least you're not infected anymore. Oh, he's not here to hear the joke. I'll repeat it when he comes back. Firelight, how healthy are you? Ten out of 10. Okay, just chill in there. I'll come get you as soon as I'm done here. Gosh, there's no freaking antibiotics. Where's the car? Is this a school? Does school have antibiotics?
I'm responding at random.
Hey Vlad, I got good news for you.
Did you find pink combat boots?
No. The good news is you're not infected anymore.
Sure, thank you. You're so kind. I think I'm dropping B2.
B2. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. We can meet you at the airstrip. Or pick you up and then head home and then go to
Oh,
the
dude,
airstrip.
I'm staying at the airstrip since I'm here.
Um, I am clearing this building to see if there's any antibiotics, and then I'm gonna take Firelight and drive off into the sunset.
I like it when you take Firelight and drive off into the sunset.
You would assume that the school has antibiotics, right?
You assume that's cool.
I
Like,
assume
you
that's
would
cool.
assume that's cool. But it's coolant.
It is coolant. There's a lot of paper at school. I mean, that makes sense. But antibiotics are so rare. It's- Administration office. Come on. Treat this like a nurse place. Leather backpack. Leather backpack looks cool. Alright, Firelight, I'm coming to get you. Vlad, do you know where you parked the car?
I don't think I'm... Did I move
Wait,
the car?
how are you injured? If you're indoors, how are you injured?
Magic.
Can you, like, step away from the window? Don't move. Okay, lie down. Lie down, lie down, lie down, lie down, lie down, lie down. It's gonna get loud in here.
I'm at the airspeed. Splat.
Don't die.
Mm, no promises, but also there is not that much risk to dying at this point. Oh, there's many puppets. Jesus. I tried to pick them off one by one. I have a stone spear. Fear me.
Alright, Firelight, let's head to the car, wherever the car is. Wait here, actually. Wait here, wait here. I'm gonna leave the backpack on the table. When you come, just take the backpack with you. Like, take it in your hands. Vlad, where'd you park the car? Oh, I found it.
It's somewhere in town.
Yeah, I found it. Oh, right. Loot your dead body. Totally forgot.
Yeah, please loot my dead body. It has stuffs.
You have a bedroll.
I do have a bed.
Well, I will gladly take it off your hands. Okay. Note, future note to you. Please don't pick up alternator. It doesn't do anything.
Really?
I have
Aw.
not found a use for it yet. Do you have things in your clothes? You probably do, right?
Probably, yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
One of them is full of bottled water.
You don't care about your starting bank card, right?
Nope.
I'll take it. It's fine.
You know what? I realized when you respawn, you don't get one.
It's okay. You can also get starter cards from
Any bank,
yeah,
any ATM.
your cigarettes.
I'll find more. It's okay. They seem to be pretty common.
Hmm. Oh my gosh.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I figured out a way. It's not an ideal way, but it is a way. Do we have a regular?
Hmm? Regular one.
I I'll figure it out. Firelight, come back, please. Don't wander off. I can't protect
Back
you.
home. Baby, come back home. Yeah. Is it getting dark or is it cloudy?
For me, it's cloudy.
Okay.
Firelight, did you bring the backpack? No, you didn't. Over there, please go grab Vlad's backpack. Perfect. All right, we can go. That's. I don't know why I didn't think about that earlier. Get into the car, please. What? All right. Okay, I'm gonna do 1, 2. I'm gonna speed run pharmacy because I don't want to die to an infection.
You shouldn't die to an infection. Arrow.
Yeah, I'm working on
Don't
it.
die to an infection.
I'm working on it.
You know what, Arrow? I think the most difficult part I already passed because the first a few puppets that I ran into, I managed to kill without dying
Nice.
with just a spear, and now I have proper melee weapons.
%62 health. So originally I was going to craft a storage box and just drag everything in it, and I realized I can't chop a tree because I don't have a proper axe. And then I realized, oh wait, Firelight can just wear the backpack because she wasn't wearing one anyways. So yeah, Firelight has all your stuff. Well, your backpack. The rest of your stuff is in the car or trashed out. We brought as much as we can.
That's reasonable. Oh, it's raining.
It's snowing for us because we're still in the mountains.
Eesh.
Okay. If you are low, don't leave the car. I am literally just going to in and out the pharmacy. That's a lot of puppets.
I found a bedrock.
Nice. 3 puppets on me. Okay. Oh, hell no. I'm actually out of ammo. Stay in the car. Let me know if you see anyone running out. I'm checking the pharmacy. I'll be back in a minute. Oh! 5 puppets in a pharmacy.
Seems about right. Enjoy.
Potassium iodide pills. Oh my gosh, just anything but antibiotics, eh? And that's 60%. She's infected too, so she needs it as well. And I don't know how much they cost at the trader, but I can only assume they're not cheap.
They're probably not cheap.
Painkillers. Painkillers. Isopropyl alcohol. Just anything but antibiotics, you know? This is great. This is fine. Everything is fine. Okay, upstairs is cleared out. Downstairs, please, please, please. Just one pack with 2. One pack with 2. I'm fine with that because now that we have alcohol, we can be a lot safer. I swear all these zombies took all the pills. Alright, no luck here. I'm at 60%. Can you get back in the car, please, before you die? Oh, am I hallucinating?
Are you hallucinating?
Yeah, I'm hallucinating.
Nice. Firelight is just a figment of your imagination. Or maybe they were never there to begin with.
Vegeta.
Vegeta. Vegeta. Vegeta.
Okay. Um, let's see.
Asagi. Asayo.
Closest pharmacy is up the mountain. Okay, I'll try not to die. But yeah, I'm seeing hallucinations. This is really bad.
What are you hallucinating?
I'm getting double vision.
Ah,
Like, you know when you're drunk in this
yep.
game? Yeah, it's like that.
Oh, I thought you mean real life. Oh yeah. You know, I always said if when you're drunk your double vision is horizontal, it means you're a Jedi. If it's vertical, it means you're a Sith.
Why?
Don't ask me questions.
Hey, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
I will do what I must. Oh my goodness, there are 3 puppets in here. I don't have a firearm.
What? You're... I don't understand.
Sorry, what?
You're looting so much. Why don't you have firearm?
Uh, Actually, I have found plenty of firearms, but none of them have holsters or magazines. So that's a little bit of a limitation. You know what I'm saying?
See. Yeah, you can't pick them up.
Yep. And even if I can pick them up, I can fire them once.
Okay, I have a plan. I have a plan.
I love it when you have a plan.
Okay,
I don't
here's the
just
plan.
like it, I love it when you have a plan.
If I don't love it, I don't swallow.
Wait,
Um,
what?
it's
Okay.
from it's from Ego from Ratatouille. It's like I don't enjoy food. I love it. If I don't love it, I don't swallow. Um, we're gonna head to the pharmacy at the peak of the mountain. If that pharmacy does not have antibiotics, we are close to a trader. I'm gonna sell everything that I can to buy antibiotics. We
I
gotta
don't think
have
you'll be
enough.
able to afford one, do you think so?
We have like 10 guns in the car. I think we'll be okay.
Oh, true, 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 true. Guns sell for a good price.
Yeah, I need to save my life. I need to save Firelight's life. I need to save whoever gets infected in the future's life. We're almost there, Firelight. Hang in there. What's your health at? What percentage? 90. Oh, you're at
95?
95? You're
Oh,
fine.
you're fine.
Okay. Me, on the other hand, I'm at 58, and it drops slowly. And I haven't gotten hit in a very long time. It's purely just from the infection itself. I know you don't like this, but I would love it if scum maps were generated instead of a default map.
Absolutely not. I would not play this game. I would just literally not play this game.
But it gets like repetitive, knowing where everything
No,
is. I mean, technically in real life, you kind of know where everything is if you just explore. But like, no, okay, you generate a size, like a same size map every time every time you create a server.
I would like there to be a choice between maps.
Okay, yeah, that's fine too. I'm okay with that actually. Like, if
But
I'm
I would
playing
like,
PvE, I wouldn't mind a smaller map too.
I think, yes.
There's no reason
And
for me to
I
drive
think
20
I think
minutes.
it's part of gameplay and part of like advantage that you get or disadvantage is remembering where shit is.
Yeah, but the thing is, with online technology, you just have to Google where anything is.
It's too much work.
You have a cartographer in your group, aka me, and I'll tell you where everything is. Okay. We're almost at the city. We're almost at the city. We're almost at the city. Okay, Firelight, I'm gonna, again, don't, well, I mean, you're at 95, you can explore a little bit if you want, but I don't recommend it. Just because of how any potential puppets there could be. By potential, I mean a ton. Did I not get out? Okay, I hate it when you press F and you don't get out of the car. Because, like, you're probably moving too fast or whatever. And with the lack of collision, back then you could run over puppets, but because of the vehicle bug, it makes it very difficult to do anything with vehicles right now. I would actually say point 0.7 was probably my favorite part of SCUM before the vehicle reworks. Like I, I feel like the vehicle reworks did more damage than good. Oh gosh, that's a lot of puppets. Okay, 2 puppets left. 3 puppets left. 1 puppet left, I think. Is that puppet still on? Oh, it's over there. Another puppet. Hey. Oh gosh. I feel like there's puppets in the pharmacy. Of course there is! Guarding the non-antibiotics. Please be careful. Huh. No puppets on floor 1. No puppets on floor 2. Oh, lucky day. Activated charcoal. Vitamin pills. Like, why?
Take vitamin pills. They will slow down infection.
I have been taking. It's okay. You know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Wait, we can just buy. We can just buy antibiotics in before I die. Vitamin pills. Caramel soda. And a pharmacy. Seems legit.
Oh, arrow. I have accomplished finding a firearm.
What did you find?
I found a shotgun
Nice.
that I actually have ammo for.
It's a shotgun. You don't need a magazine.
Yep. And that's a pretty good one.
Is it the fancy one? The one I really like?
Deco one.
Not the one I really like, but it's pretty
No,
good.
I would say second best shotgun in the game.
Maybe.
Probably. Okay, I need a M9 magazine to be happy.
Hey, Firelight's ready. Time to go. Alright, we're going to the trader. Do you want me to get you anything? We're not very rich,
Me?
just keep in mind.
No. Arrow, I'm carrying a spare waste bag.
Oh, we have a ton.
I don't need it, right?
We don't need it.
Oh,
Like, we have
okay.
ridiculous amounts of waste bags. For some reason, I
Is
keep
it?
finding it in pharmacies. Why
Thank you.
is Firelight on top of the vehicle?
Why is Firelight on top? I don't know. That's how she likes it.
True.
True.
But I think, from the back, more.
You like it from the back? I see. This is Aaron Nui lore right here. If anyone's writing an Arrow wiki, this is like a valuable entry. Wait. Is the one you like the most Stas?
Pardon?
Stas? As the ass?
Did you find one?
Yeah.
Nice. It's okay. You can keep it. It's a good shotgun.
No. I mean, is that the one that you're talking about that you think is your favorite?
I think so, yeah. Did you find one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's okay. You can keep it.
I don't want both. Whenever you can regroup with me, I would like to not have two shotguns because that's kind of redundant.
True. We're closing in on the trader.
Oh, baby. You said you're out of ammo. What kind of ammo do you need?
I already switched guns, so not really concerned about that right now. Man, medical supplies are a lot harder to come by.
Yeah, right? What the fuck? Is there like a new way of crafting medical supplies that
Not
I
that I
don't
know
know
of.
about?
Not that I know of. I checked the crafting menu. There's nothing. I think
Hmm.
we're just really unlucky in the first part of our playthrough that we didn't have any alcohol to clean our rags. And then
So
we're
we
just
all got infected.
constantly, yeah, just
Yep.
constantly infected and constantly trying to find um pills. But
It's easier to not get infected
right?
than
Yeah.
to
To prevent
get
infection.
infected and then try to figure it out.
My wounds are getting affected. Yes, I know my wounds are getting affected. Also, Firelight, look out the window. It's so pretty. Like you.
Just like your face, yeah.
And she's gonna type, I can't.
I can't. Yes, you can. I believe in you.
Alright, we have arrived. Okay, I'll find out how much. Oh, this place is completely safe. Feel free to look around. You can still loot around. Not a lot of things that can be looted, but this is a safe zone. You don't take damage here. Doctor!
Zone of safety.
Please!
Arrow. I
Oh
think you
my
might have
gosh!
accidentally deceived Firelight by saying that. It's possible to take damage
Oh, really?
in trade zone, yes. There is a small chance a puppet will spawn.
Do you take damage from the puppet, though?
Yep, you can die.
Um,
What's wrong?
Very expensive.
I'll have a look.
You could
Antibiotic?
you could buy one single antibiotic for $300,
Yeah.
or you can buy a pack for $4,000.
Never mind
4,000.
about the expiration date.
Jesus.
Those
Oh,
are
I'm gonna
pretty
sell the
accurate.
crutch. We don't need the crutch.
Never
I'm
mind
just gonna
about
sell
the
stuff.
expiration
Okay.
date.
Activated charcoal. We don't need that many, right? Painkillers. We don't need painkillers. I'm selling all my painkillers. I'll keep like one. Oh,
Go ahead.
Starlight,
You'll
please do not sell the car.
uh,
Thank you.
that would be hilarious.
I'll be
Thanks,
there
bro.
if you need me.
If
Um,
only Panda were here.
okay, I need to sell a little bit more painkillers,
Try not
but
to get
we should be okay. We have so much painkillers in the car anyways.
That one time that Panda sold the car, man.
We spilled so much stuff.
It was pretty hilarious.
Painkillers are worth a lot.
To sell as well? Nice.
It's how we're getting all of my money right now. So one
Come in.
one
I'll have a
you know one painkiller, like, the tray
Yeah,
is like $200.
to sell.
Yeah, and you don't want classic cigarettes, right?
No.
Okay, I'm sell those too.
Lucky Star or get out of my face.
Never mind about the expiration.
Okay, we got
Go
4,000.
ahead.
We got
You'll
4,000.
be
The real
served.
question is, should I save up for the jar? Nah, right? The jar is 10,000. I shouldn't bother. I don't think I can make 10,000. What do you
I'll
think?
be here when try not to get
I don't think you can.
Let's see. I haven't sold a single gun, but if we can buy the 4,000 one, we can just get out of here. Alright, I'm going to buy the tray and we're gonna head back.
Hello, what is your emergency?
Does this count as looting? It still counts as looting, right?
Of course.
Super expensive.
Remember to keep hydrated. I'm sure I'll see you again.
I am cured? Question mark? Dude, do you know how many infections I have on me?
Or
I have 5 infections on untreated, and then I have 6 infections in recovery. Starlight, come with me.
Clientele, step right up.
Arrow, from your memory, the tower is not worth climbing at the
Tower
airport,
is not
yes.
worth climbing. Oh wait, not here.
Hit me up when you need a refill, sugar.
This way.
Welcome, welcome. Feel free to browse around.
I swear he sold bread. Did he not sell bread before?
Cool.
The general trader.
I think he sold bread before. But maybe they added I was gonna say bread trader, saloon.
Saloon does not sell bread either.
What?
Yeah, it's weird.
Stay safe.
Or is it maybe because my fame point isn't high enough, they won't sell me bread? Oh.
Ooh, that was scary. Arrow, I have survived my first encounter with an
Oh,
exploding puppet in this life. Since
Your fellow
respawning.
merchant, eh?
It's
My doors
terrifying.
are always open.
By yourself, man? Scary.
it is. Okay, my infections are slowly being fixed.
Like when your infections are still doing this.
Let's see. Starlight, are you hungry? Do you need to eat? Okay.
I'm so full, I can't even pick up a box of balls. Eh,
But I don't really want to
box
sell anything that I don't need to sell.
of balls is so good.
Do you need a ride from airstrip?
What do you mean from?
You're in airstrip, right?
Just come to airstrip.
That's the question. Do you need a ride? Because if you do, I'll go to airstrip pick you up. If you
You don't
don't,
need you don't need to pick me up, you need to come and loot here.
we have no space.
I have no space.
Exactly. That's why I'm asking if you need a ride.
Shit. Damn. Took damage.
Alright, Firelight, let's go pick up Vlad.
Hello? I didn't know that was possible.
What was possible?
I just pushed a puppet through one room to the next by hitting them with a melee attack. And then I went to the room that I pushed them into and killed them.
Sounds like an
It's like,
action
what?
movie.
It's like, what was happening?
Enjoy the view. We're not gonna be here anytime soon. I hate driving in the snowy areas. But this is the closest village, so I guess we will come back when we need to sell stuff. Okay, we're driving straight south from the village, so we'll be there in 5-ish minutes.
I'm not ready to leave yet.
Well, I'm letting you know I don't have space.
Cool.
And Firelight still has her backpack, I believe. Your backpack is too heavy.
Wait, you don't have space in the car?
We have no space in the car. So,
You can drop my backpack.
no, 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 no.
I found a better backpack. Wait, which backpack is? Is it the hiking one?
Police
Police
hiking.
hiking?
Police hiking.
Yeah, no, never mind.
Did
I
you find
will have a
assault?
better backpack.
Oh, you don't have a heavy backpack.
No.
Okay, we're over the mountain ledge, now we're going downhill. Alright, I'm gonna sit back and relax while the mountain does its job. Oh, that wasn't far enough. Like, this is Kart Rider at home. Is that a pharmacy? I kind of want to check the pharmacy out, but I also know I don't have a lot of ammo and I'm getting swarmed, so I'm getting out of here. Wait, how am I getting infected? I took pills! Is one pill not enough? Also, we can see the airstrip. Man, once you get infected, it's so hard to fix it.
Oh shit, I might die. Please don't let me die.
I just realized, how much was, I just realized we got scammed by the doctor.
Yeah?
A tray of antibiotics is 8 tablets for 4,000. When each tablet is 300.
Oh.
So it should have been 2.4. We paid.
So it's cheaper to buy a pack than
It's cheaper
tray.
to buy individual ones than a tray.
Oh.
Okay, we've arrived at the airfield.
Please be very, 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 very careful.
We're kind of just driving around. I'm trying
Most of it is not cleared.
I can tell. Oh, I see your. Oh, watch out. And here they come.
Jesus, you scared the shit out of me, Firelight. Don't scare me like that.
I'm coming into the building.
I like it when you're coming into the building.
Okay.
In one of these rooms somewhere there is a ZDAS, and I don't know where.
How many antibiotics do I need?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna take like 2. And then let my body work its magic.
I have like a negative amount of space right now.
Dude, my stats are so hindered. I have 1 strength, 1 constitution, 2.7 dexterity.
You need antibiotic.
I think I need to eat the whole tray. Who's getting attacked?
Me.
Are you okay?
No. Yes.
How long does it take for me to clear? Oh, my infections are slowly clearing up. Okay, 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 okay. Alright,
Congratulations.
is that... Just checking.
Double tap.
Yeah. I am going to... Hold on. I'm gonna wrap up my stream and then let my body recover. I think we had a very, very, very successful looting run.
Shouldn't we wrap it up at home?
Hold on. You're not done looting, are you?
No.
Exactly, so.
Wait.
Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We weren't able to find antibiotics, but we were able to buy some. We're probably just gonna wrap up here and then move back on our own time. Hopefully next time you see me, I will be healthy and well. The weekend is coming up. Be sure to stay safe, stay hydrated, and next week is anniversary week, so be sure to stay tuned, tune in for some fun and exciting programs and giveaways. And that will be it for tonight. Have a good one. Bye.